Chris Gelser here with
Matt Howell.
And on this episode of The First Run, Matt and I are going to discuss John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum. We're going to tell you all about John Wick, who Giardini Jovanovic is, we'll explain what a parabellum is, and more. We're also going to discuss the film A Private War, the biographical drama about Marie Colvin, one of the most celebrated war reporters ever. And then we will wrap things up with What Are the Odds, our favorite gambling kind of game. And I'm really, Matt, pushing in the, what do you call it there? The over-unders. It seems to have just captured my imagination. But let's start everything off with a clip from John Wick Chapter 3.
You do realize that I'm management now, right? I'm not service anymore, John, so I don't go around shooting people in the head.
I'm not asking you to kill anyone. I just need you to get me to him.
To who?
Your old boss.
You want to kill Barada?
I'm not gonna kill him. I just need to talk.
What could he possibly give to you?
Guidance.
Look, I made a deal when I agreed to run this hotel. And that deal said that I had to follow the rules of the table. If you're not gonna kill him, he is gonna kill you. And then probably me too for walking you up in there.
So John Wick is back, Matt. This film takes place basically, minutes after Chapter 2? John Wick is running through the streets of New York, desperate to make his way out. Because, remember, Matt, he has been excommunicated, right? What's the word? It's an excommunicado. Mm-hmm. It's a combination of excommunicated and cado. So he's trying desperately to make his way out. And he finally does. He ends up meeting up with Halle Berry. Some other stuff happens, and then he's in a foreign country then. But then he comes back, and then a lot of people die. I mean, like, a lot of people die in some really interesting and ingenuitive ways. So they've already announced, Matt, that Chapter 4 is coming out and has a release date. After Chapter 3, let me ask, has this been a suitable follow-up to the first two films, and are you still excited for now this series to continue?
Yes, on both counts. I really enjoyed this. I thought it was maybe even better than John Wick 2. I think we were both kind of worried about the mythology of it and getting weighed down by that. But I got to tell you, by the end of this film, I'm pretty invested in it, and I'm kind of curious to see where the next one goes. I was actually kind of wishing I could just go ahead and start watching the fourth one right away. So I'm happy that they are filming another one. But this one has more of everything that I wanted. It kind of really leans into some of the ridiculousness of it, and I think it was the perfect decision.
I'm inclined to agree with you. I think there's even more bone-crushing, gut-wrenching fight choreography in this. We have a new replacement for the pencil, but there, in his unique and different ways of taking people out. There's, of course, the horse fight. I mean, crushing a guy's skull with a horse is interesting. I don't know if the motorcycle fight worked as well for me, but that one of the opening scenes in the warehouse with all the knives fighting the Asian gang. Yeah. That there were quite a few through the whole film. Moments, a la like the Raid. In fact, we had two Raid alums in this film. I don't know if you caught that.
I did.
Yayan Ruhin and Sisepa Arif Rahman. So Ruhin was in the first Raid, and then Rahman was in Raid 2. But it was still kind of fun. And that's one of the big things, Matt, I think, is they really introduce martial arts fighting to another whole level in this movie. And I think that was exceptionally well done. If I have any issues with it, I don't know, Matt, if all the story beats work. One of my major concerns from the last film is the world building. The more we learn about this world, the more it seems to get more and more kind of ridiculous. Like there's a fight, in a mall, is it, or something? And everybody's just, or train station, like, and everybody's just kind of standing around while these guys are stabbing each other. It's in the train station, right? So It's just, and there's some of the stuff too, like we learn a lot more about John Wick in this film, who he really is, where he came from. Part of me wonders if we would have been a little better off with a little more mystery. I'm not sure. And I think maybe the middle of the film drags a bit. I'm not entirely convinced that the whole Casablanca thing or the reveal of the guy on top above the high table, it just didn't seem to have the impact to me that maybe that director Stileski was going for. I'm not sure. So, go ahead. What do you think?
I mean, I guess I can see where you're going with this. I mean, I think if the second installment taught me anything, it's just that they're just kind of throwing out the window any semblance of, reality and just it's like the Fast and Furious films, right? In the sense that it doesn't really make any sense, and it's okay that it doesn't make any sense, but I think it's done much better here. So I'm completely fine. I don't try and worry about how realistic any of it is. I'm really just kind of, as long as the internal logic or the world logic seems to hold together, I'm fine with it. And even with Halle Berry, even though she was only in the middle, I mean, even that did drag a little bit, but the dogs running around, I thought that was fantastic.
Oh, the dogs were great.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I can see the complaints that you're making, but I didn't view them as criticisms. I was just kind of like, yep, this is ridiculous. Yep, let's not poke at this too much and let's just have a good time and just kind of let it wash over you. And that's what I did. And I had a really good time watching it.
I don't levy those criticisms to say I didn't enjoy this. I thought it was great and I really enjoyed it. It's just that while the first film is really lean and tight, the second one builds a little more on the backgrounds, and there's some stuff in there I'm not 100% a big fan of. And it's the same with this one, but still, it is still a great action film, possibly one of the better action films I think we've seen in at least a little while. It's exceptionally well done. I feel like they try to kind of, I don't know if they listen to the show, Matt, because I think they try and explain how the currency works.
Right.
And it still doesn't really seem to make sense to me. Like it's more of a symbol of inclusion and acceptance.
Yeah, it's that it doesn't really have monetary values, that it represents like something that you've done or like inclusion into this world. It's like giving up a favor almost, and it's really what it's like. And I was fine with that explanation. At least they attempted it, and I was like, you know what, in the internal world of this thing that doesn't make any sense, at least they tried, and that's good enough for me. What they came up with. I mean, I mean, they throw around those gold coins like they're confetti, and they seem to have no consistent value, but that's okay. It doesn't really matter. I mean, like towards the end, there's this whole thing where they give this big speech about how, everybody's armed heavily. The bad guys are all like greater armored to try and protect themselves from John Wick, and they don't go out with any kind of like preparation for that. They knew it was coming, and they all they don't go out with any bigger guns until that didn't work, and then they put it on. So I mean, if you start looking at stuff like that, it's just gonna fall apart. So just don't.
But man, those shotgun kills were brutal. But a lot of the stuff was in this film.
It sure was.
So so that's it, I guess. I still don't, the money thing still makes no sense to me, but I guess A for effort for trying to explain it.
Mm-hmm.
I also found it had some really great set pieces, kind of for me reminiscent of the last couple Bond films, particularly I should say the ones shot by Deakins, right? At least Skyfall. I know he did Skyfall. I don't remember if he did Spectre. But there are some framings and some aesthetics in the way this thing is shot that's very reminiscent of that. Just some really gorgeous set pieces and interesting visuals to go on top of just the absolute mayhem. So overall, Matt, I'm going to... And again, there's a few things I'd like to talk about, but it's spoiler filled, so we're not going to discuss it. You can just go watch the film itself, and I am recommending you definitely go see it. I'm giving John Wick Chapter 3 a B+, just because I feel some of the narrative stuff doesn't really work. When before, I felt it was better narratively, at least in this one, it doesn't seem to pop as much for me. And as I said, the middle part drags a bit, so I'm giving it a B+. What about you?
Yeah, I think I liked it better. I think I was kind of more on board and kind of forgave it its flaws. So I gave it an A-.
I think that's fair. I think I may have actually had an A- originally too, but just the more I thought about it, it really just listen. It's top flight action entertainment. Now, I think what we both love Mission Impossible Fallout, but this is obviously another degree. It just is in violence. So just prepare yourself if you're going in for a great action movie that it is going to be exceptionally brutal. If you've had a chance to see John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum. By the way, we didn't tell. Should we tell people what Parabellum stands for in case they don't know?
Yeah, I guess it's Latin for prepare for war.
Right. When first you make, what is it, try to make peace, you prepare for war?
Yep.
So there you go, Parabellum. Shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. Matt, coming up in Blu-ray and DVD this upcoming Tuesday. That is April. What day is that? My schedule's all around. This is upcoming Tuesday. Just trust me. It's going to be fine. Criterion is releasing a classic.
There are a couple of cases I get mixed up on. But one name that keeps coming up is this woman Singer. She lives in an apartment building that is real close to your house. It's also close to the field where you found the ear.
It's a strange world, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know where this woman's apartment building is?
Yeah, it's really close by. That's what's so creepy. They had her under surveillance for a couple months, except I don't know what they found out, because it's not my dad's case. So...
I guess you gotta get back home pretty soon, huh?
not really. Why?
Well,
You want to see the building?
yeah.
Come on, I'll show you.
Did I say April? I do that all the time in May. I always say April. And two, like in July, I'll say January. I get hung up on the J. I don't know what that is.
That's pretty weird.
Probably something to talk to my therapist about. That is a clip from Blue Velvet being released by Criterion. There's a brand new 4K restoration of David Lynch's classic film with a 5.1 surround DTS HD master audio soundtrack. It does include the alternate original stereo soundtrack if you're a purist. There's also a feature-length meditation on the making of the film by Peter Bratz. The lost footage, 51 minutes of deleted scenes and alternate takes assembled by Lynch himself, a 70-minute documentary from 2002, and more. So if you're a Blue Velvet fan, now's the time to pick up that Blu-ray. Also coming out is Gaspar Noé's Climax, a film we discussed earlier this year. An interesting little trip, I think well worth taking. Includes a making-of featurette. Greta. I think Greta might be worth a rental. Includes some deleted scenes and a making-of featurette. Chloe Grace Moretz and Isabelle Ruppert. Criterion is also releasing One Sings, the Other Doesn't. When 17-year-old Pauline keeps struggling, mother of two Suzanne procure the money for an abortion. A deep bond forms between the two, one that endures over the course of more than a decade as each searches for their place in the world. Includes a new ticket restoration, supervised by the director Agnes Varda, as well as cinematographer Charlie Van Damme. A 1977 documentary called Women Are Naturally Creative, featuring interview with Varda. Response de Femme, a 75 short film by Varda on the question, what is a woman? And more. Shout Factory is releasing Tu Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar. This is the film with Patrick Swayze, John Leguizamo, and Wesley Snipes, where they play drag queens who are going across country and they break down in a town and, you know, just help the people out with their lives with their own special charm. Includes a new featurette, called Easy Rider in Dresses, a look back at the making of, some deleted scenes, and other features. Shout is also releasing Boom, the Elizabeth Taylor, Richard Burton film. It was a notorious bomb upon its initial release, Matt, but has since built up a cult following, and now you can pick it up on Blu-ray. Features a new audio commentary with filmmaker John Waters, as well as a new making-of featurette. Shout is also releasing When a Stranger Calls Back. The sequel to When a Stranger Calls, the brand new 2K remaster of the film, includes both aspect ratios, the original TV version, and an alternate 1.78.1 version for your television, and then 3 new interviews with the cast and crew. Oh, excuse me, it also includes Fred Walton, the director, his original short film, The Sitter, which I think the original film is based on. MVD, Matt, is releasing a Jean-Claude Van Damme classic. Any idea what it is? What do you think? Classic. What do you come up with Jean-Claude Van Damme?
Either Bloodsport or Kickboxer.
All right. Well, it's neither of those.
Okay.
It's Double Impact. This is the one where he
Oh.
plays the twins.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, this one's horrible, but still really fun. There's a new making of documentary there's 2 parts, so it's about 2 hours long in total. And new included in this set, 54 minutes of deleted and extended scenes. Oof. And a bunch of other stuff. So if you're a Double Impact guy, now's the time to pick up that Blu-ray you've been waiting for. The 3 Burials of Maquatus Estrada is being released as well. What else is coming up, Matt? I guess that's basically it then. Your straight to DVD pick of the week is going to be Near Extinction, Shangri-La. From the creator of the NBC hit series The Event comes a post-apocalyptic creature thriller in which mankind is nearly extinct. Humans engineered an ice age to eradicate a plague that was killing everybody off. The ice age then turned out to be just as deadly. A ragtag group of survivors led by Vargas are on a quest for the safe haven known as Shangri-La, where their species has supposedly started rebooting civilization. They face many dangers on their quest, Matt, including the frigid cold, a mutant cult, and a pack of mysterious creatures known only as Green Eyes. Matt, what should we be streaming this week?
So I'm going to recommend getting the sit down and maybe go through a binge of the Blade series on Prime. Blade, which is a pretty good film, doesn't hold up in some ways. The computer generated effects are horribly dated. Then the underappreciated Guillermo del Toro's second directed entry, and then the absolute train wreck of the third one, Blade Trinity, where you can see our friend Ryan Reynolds and Jessica Biel. And it's made even funnier by the fact that if you look on YouTube, it's come out that Wesley Snipes barely showed up for any of his scenes. So basically, they're all acting against him not being there, and the scenes of Ryan Reynolds just acting against nothing and just kind of making fun of Wesley Snipes is actually fantastic. So check him out if you haven't seen him.
Man, that movie's bad.
Yeah, it is.
Oof. You know, that's
In the
former
best possible
co-host's favorite chapter in the series.
I suppose.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I don't remember. I had forgotten that. Thank you for reminding me.
Makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go ahead then and move this puppy all along. Speaking of Blade, why don't we spend a few minutes talking about A Private War?
David Blundy.
Who?
David Blundy.
What about him?
Left for the Telegraph before you joined. I took his job.
What is your point?
And he was killed 2 years later in San Salvador. Jao Silva. Lost both legs at the knee in Kandahar while working for the New York Times. I was with him in Afghanistan. Safa Abu Saif.
Who did he work for?
She was a 12-year-old Palestinian girl. Killed by a stray bullet that pierced her heart. I watched her parents hold her as she bled out. She was wearing pearl earrings. She probably thought she looked pretty that day. I see it. So you don't have to.
So, Matt, what is A Private War all about?
Yeah, it's the story, slightly fictionalized story of Marie Colvin, a celebrated war correspondent who, initially is wounded while she is in Sri Lanka, loses an eye, suffers from PTSD, and then decides that she is going to go back and start covering the wars in the Middle East and Iraq. And they basically, it just follows her through her untimely demise, while covering while covering the events in Syria.
Matt, what were your thoughts on A Private War? I got to tell you, I was trying to go see this, and the timing never worked out in the theaters. It is currently available for streaming on Amazon Prime if you are a Prime member. And I can tell you, Matt, I am so happy I was finally able to catch up with this. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought it was fantastic. I mean, Rosamund Pike puts on a great performance. You kind of get into the life of this driven woman who was determined to kind of show this side and get these people's stories told, at her own, great personal cost. I mean, and it's just a riveting film, and it just kind of shows you just the kind of the things that we never really think about being where we are, and just the things that are going on in the world. So it's crazy.
Yeah, it features a fantastic performance by Pike. I mean, she is great in this. I confess, what have I really like? Gone Girl, which she's really good in. But this too is, I think, just another level of performance from her. The film is harrowing. I mean, at times you really feel like you're almost embedded with her when all this stuff that's happening around her. It is shocking and heart-wrenching. And I think what it does that's really smart is it doesn't so much focus on the heroics of the embedded reporters. It more just shows you what they're dealing with, right? It's not like the Post or the Spotlight, right, where everybody's kind of revered and it has this kind of mythical Disney-esque quality to it. This is much meaner, and it's a much more difficult film because you're actually seeing what they have to deal with her, especially with her as she experiences the PTSD and almost an addiction to the action, kind of like the Hurt Locker with Renner. Remember when he had gotten home and all he really wanted to do was to go back. I think maybe the script may be a little clunky at times, especially when we dive into Colvin's personal life. I appreciate that we're illustrating the fact that she had really may have at times had difficulty connecting with people. And was could be a rather gruff and abrasive person. But overall, still, I think if I had any criticism of the film, it would be probably that those scenes, when it's trying to play up some intimacy between her and some of the men in her life, and I don't just mean relationship-wise, even with her photographer partner played by Jamie Dornan, who I think is quite good as well. But even, of course, the always wonderful Stanley Tucci. It's that, and even maybe the stuff with her boss, played by Tom Hollander, is not as successful as it is when we're really just embedded with her as she's going through all of this.
I agree. Yeah, I mean it's yeah. I mean, I guess I don't really know what else to say. I mean, it's just it's just a tour de force performance. I mean, and it's not that it doesn't have its flaws. I mean, it's obviously a little bit fictionalized, and the guy who directed the film, I forget his name. Let me look it up.
Matthew Heineman, I believe, is a first-time director too.
Yeah, he's not a first-time director, but it's first time of a fictionalized film, not like an actual he's more of a documentarian. So I mean, and granted, I think it's got a little bit of that feel to it.
That's right. He did Cartel Land and City of Ghosts. That's right.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's something that's not necessarily easy subject matter to watch, but I mean, I think everybody should watch it if it's something that you think would interest you. It's definitely a story that needs to be told.
Yeah, and I confess I was not as familiar with her story, so I'm glad we were able to catch up with it and we were able to check this out.
Yeah, I wasn't very familiar with it either, so I feel less bad since the political one of us wasn't very familiar either.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, don't worry about it. There's plenty more for you to feel bad about.
I'm sure you'll let me know.
So, what are you giving A Private War as a rating?
Oddly enough, I'm going to give it an A-. The same as John Wick, just two different sides of the A- scale.
As did I. B+ for me. So, there you go. At least we're consistent. If you've had a chance to see A Private War, again, currently available for streaming on Amazon Prime if you have a Prime membership. And, of course, you can rent it everywhere else. Shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. Matt? All right, why don't we jump into everybody's favorite gambling segment, What Are the Odds? Now, this next clip is not exact... Well, just here, listen.
Just the pussy I've been looking for.
It's chilly in here.
I'll warm you.
Down, Oswald. We need to talk. You see, you and I have something in common.
Sounds familiar. Appetite for destruction? Contempt for the czars of fashion? Wait, don't tell me. Naked, sexual charisma.
Batman. The thorn in both our sides. The fly in our ointment.
Ointment? Scented or unscented?
I'll come back later.
So that's a kid's movie, by the way, people. That is a clip from Batman Returns. And very disturbing scene between the Penguin and Catwoman. So, if you're not familiar with what are the odds, this is a segment where Matt and I apply the odds of something happening or not happening, and then never come back to visit it to see if we were correct. So that was Penguin.
I think that's the best part of the whole segment is that we just never speak of it again.
There you go. So Penguin and Catwoman, supposedly there's rumors that they will be the villains in The Batman. What are the odds,
Really?
Matt, that that's true?
Oh, boy. Well, it's obviously not going to be the Joker because of Joaquin. I'm going to say 25% because I don't want it to happen. I don't think if the way I understand this film is going to work, I don't think it needs two villains. I think it needs one kind of focused thing, you know?
You would think, and I'd be inclined to agree with you. But I don't know, man. I feel like it's... So, supposedly, our boy Robert Pattinson has been cast. So, some places say he's in early talks and he's just a front runner. So, we'll see. But I don't know. I'm gonna say what I think it is. Part of me thinks I'm gonna go 38% because I think that's what it will be. I don't want it to be. Mm-hmm. I much want the world's greatest detective film that we supposedly have been rumored for a while, where we actually focus on that aspect of him instead of it being, the typical superhero thing. So I don't know. We'll see. What do you got?
Yeah, it would be nice if they did something like The Long Halloween. We got Calendar Man or something like that. So we'll see. All right. So we've got our last X-Men movie coming out, right? We've got Dark Phoenix coming up. I don't think either of us are particularly excited about it, but it's coming, and we're going to watch it for all of you. So I guess my question to you, Chris, is this. What are the odds that we get any of the X-Men actors besides Ryan Reynolds into the MCU?
That's interesting. Because I don't really know. Do people have any real affection for any of them? Maybe Fassbender and what's his name there?
McAvoy?
Yeah, as Chuck and Magnus. Is there? Yeah, I don't think there's no pull really for anybody else, is there? In fact, I wouldn't be surprised maybe if what's his name comes back to be Cyclops instead of the current kid from Ready Player One. James Masterson is his name, right? The original Cyclops from the first films.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So what are the odds that they poured people in?
Yeah.
I'll say... I'll go... I don't know. Or reboot. I think they're going to reboot it, so I'm going to go 15%.
Yeah, I think Ryan Reynolds is the only lock. So... Yeah, I'm gonna say 12%, just to be slightly less, just to be a little contrary.
Fair enough. Matt, over under. How many John Wick films are we gonna be? The number over under is 6.
Under. I'm really thinking the fourth one will be his last one.
You think so?
Yeah.
I'm thinking 5 myself. Because it's just from what I've seen. I did not say anything, Alexa. From what I've seen, that it was always tended to be a series, and supposedly they have more ideas. So I'm thinking it'll be under as well, but I'm thinking 5. So, but you're going 4. Okay.
Yeah.
Any particular reasoning?
No, I just think that if the whole thing of the next one is that he's going to kill everybody, all the kind of higher ups and the high table, and he's going to definitely take out Ian McShane, I would think, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I think what's there left to go? Who's there left to kill, really?
You just start over. Maybe there's something new happens.
Maybe.
It's going to be like, what was it? Where they constantly, remember Burn Notice? You ever watch Burn Notice in USA?
No, I remember you talking about how much you liked it, but then you would kind of give me, every time I would go to watch it, you would give me some kind of like qualifying warnings about the show itself.
Did I?
Yeah.
I don't remember that. I did like it a lot, but there was one issue where maybe this was the issue, is that every season they finally revealed who the guy was responsible for burning him in the CIA. And every season it was, oh wait, actually it was the guy above this guy we got to stop. You know, every time you thought it was cleared up, there was always another guy. So who knows? Maybe there's a higher high table.
There's a higher high table.
Sure.
And then he's gonna kill the one guy, and then they're gonna find out that there's another guy behind the guy who's being controlled by a woman.
There's a high chair.
Yeah, the high chair.
This is the guy behind the guy. I'm a producer. So what do you got?
All right, so Chris and I are very excited. Tarantino's next film coming out.
Bring this up, yeah.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and then all of the marketing makes a point of mentioning that it's his 9th film, and he's always said that he's only going to make 10 films. So what are the odds that this is Tarantino's penultimate film?
I'm gonna say 40%.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I think in years, maybe he will retire, but maybe he'll just go on the television or something, or I can't imagine he's just gonna go dormant.
Right.
And I think maybe he'll get excited like when he's 60 and come back and make some like Reservoir Dogs in a nursing home film or something. I don't know. But
yeah, I'm gonna say 30% because I don't think he can stay away from it. And if he's really talking about making a Star Trek film, there's no way I feel like if he set this kind of 10 film thing out for himself, I almost feel like he knows what his last film is gonna be or has an idea of what his last film would be. And I can't imagine that it's gonna be, if he actually makes a Star Trek film, that's gonna be the one he goes out on.
I still want him to make his James Bond film set like in the 50s. Or even the 60s. The 60s, I guess. I don't know. I would love to see that.
James Bond with hyper-realistic violence.
Yeah, and shot in black and white.
Yeah.
I think that would be great. So, that was one of my questions, over-under, on Oscar nominations for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Your number is 3.
I'm gonna say over.
What do you think?
Just because I think I would not be surprised if for nominations, if they get at least 3 acting nominations. I could see Robbie getting like Best Actress nom, DiCaprio getting a Best Actor nom, and Pitt getting a Best, supporting nom. And we'll see how good the guy who's playing, Charles Manson does. And then I could see, and then it'll be a given that he'll get nominated for director, and then he always gets nominated for screenplay. So, yeah, I think it'll be 5. I think it'll be at least 5.
Okay. I think screenplay for sure. Maybe picture. But I don't know after that. Because I don't think Hateful Eight got any real traction at all, right? And I'm a huge fan of that film. I still have to watch the new version on Netflix, though.
Yeah. I don't know, but this is like it also taps into that kind of, self-congratulatory Hollywood stuff. They love seeing movies about the movies and, this old Hollywood stuff. So, I mean, I think it's kind of really going to kind of pinch into their buttons as far as like the stuff that they really want to do. There's
a bit of a backlash online too. I don't know if you've seen that on Tarantino on Twitter. And I feel like it's like the Weinstein stuff that he knew about it, didn't say anything.
Right.
And then there's the stuff with Uma Thurman where he almost got killed, shooting Kill Bill.
Right.
And there's a bunch of other stuff where basically he can be it sounds like he can be just an absolute a-hole.
I know.
He's just not a good person. And I feel like I don't know how many more moral bands I have left in me at this point when it comes to my art, but I don't.
Well, here's the thing. I will say this. This is not an excuse, but I was watching this show. and couch this in the scene of a sitcom, The Good Place, which is about the afterlife. And one of the characters asks a question, goes, "Well, who's not in The Good Place? Who I would be shocked to hear?" And he goes, "Well," he lists off some names like Picasso, Hitchcock. He's like, basically every artist is not in here, is not in The Good Place. So I think there's something to be said that a lot of these artists that we really like, I think that most of them are assholes in some way or another. And I think it's just a matter of where's the line that it's like, you may not want to be that person's friend, but you kind of still want to watch their show or whatever they produce. Because, I mean, look at Hitchcock. I mean, he was a sociopath by all accounts, but you're not going to stop watching his stuff, are you?
Yeah, no, I don't know. It's just the Tarantino thing is it's this weekend has been a moral struggle with me. Same thing with Moby too. And if you've heard about him and Natalie Portman, that whole thing.
No, I have not heard that. No.
Suppose,
but I'm not a huge Moby fan, so go ahead. You're not going to really hurt me.
Oh, I love a few of his albums. Supposedly he I don't know if he wrote a book or whatever it was, but he said how he dated Natalie Portman, and Natalie Portman's like, "I was 18, you were 35. We did not date. You were kind of a creepy old man trying to hit on me."
Right.
So.
But I mean, I mean, just because, it's morally gross and we kind of would be gross about it. I mean, it's not like it's illegal. I mean, if you arrested every person or kind of cut down everybody at the knees who tried to hit on somebody that was out of their league or it was kind of creepy, there would be a lot of people that are not around.
That's a fair point. I mean, who would be the president? All right. Was it my turn? Your turn.
Yeah, I guess it's my turn. I guess I'm just trying to say that I'm not excusing their behavior, but I am just trying to say that, there's always going to be assholes, and you got to draw the line between illegal and just being an asshole.
Yeah, I mean, there are some horrible. I haven't listened to any Michael Jackson in a while now.
Right.
Quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, what do you got?
All right, so we've got Avatar. It's out there. 5 entries. Avatar 2, 3, 4, 5. All listed on IMDb as upcoming films.
Uh-huh.
So what are the odds that the second Avatar, Avatar 2, makes even half of what the original Avatar made?
Interesting.
So the original Avatar, I think, cleared worldwide 2.7 billion, maybe almost 2.8 billion.
I'm looking at it right now. Almost 2.8, 2.788.
Okay. So what are the odds that it even let's just even make it even that less than that. What are the odds it even crosses 1 billion worldwide?
Oh, it will. I'm going to go 95% on that.
Really?
Yeah.
You think it's going to make half? 1.4?
Worldwide?
Yeah.
Maybe. I drop down to 50% at that point. Maybe 65. I think it's going to do reasonably well. I don't think it's going to do numbers like it did, but it'll do half of its business. Sure. People. Now, if you want to talk about episodes 3, 4, and 5, that I'm not so sure about. But part 2, right, with this much anticipation and Sam Worthington back in the hot seat, right? Is he back in the hot seat with that? I know Zoe Saldana's back.
Yeah, I honestly don't know if Worthington's back in there.
Well, then everything would change if Sam's not in there.
You think it's gonna all come to form?
That's why. Well, that's where everybody saw the first film.
It's true.
Papyrus.
Unobtainium. That movie is so bad.
If you haven't seen the SNL sketch with Ryan Gosling, when he realizes that the font in the Avatar poster is papyrus, it is hilarious. Like he's at parties and it's just like they just chose one papyrus. It's really funny.
God, I can't bear to be that confident because I want to just hope that the movie-going public has, gotten better taste and have seen better blockbusters, so they're less, inclined to be wowed by it. So I'm gonna go with it has a 50. No, I'm gonna say a 45% chance. I really don't think it's gonna make half of it back. I'd be surprised. I think I'm gonna be disappointed, but yeah, that's what I'm gonna have to go with.
We'll see. And just as your semi-regular reminder that Avatar is number 15 all time, and Avengers Endgame is number 22 when
Wow.
adjusted for inflation, which is what you should do. Now, granted, though, some of those include re-releases, right, which beef up those numbers. Because that's also a different form of cheating.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Matt. Amy Adams, what are the odds she wins an Oscar in 3 years?
What has she got coming up?
She has not won one yet, which is just, when everybody was talking about Leo and saying what a travesty it was, when's Leo going to get the Oscar he so deserves? And Amy Adams, I think, has turned in more interesting performances consistently, I think, than Leo has.
All right. So her next films are.
I looked these up, but I'm not really familiar with any of these. I think Disenchanted, I'm assuming, is a sequel to Enchanted.
Yes. So I doubt she'll win for that. Let's just go ahead and say that.
Mm-hmm.
The title of Hillbilly Elegy does not strike me with filming with confidence. It's also directed by Ron Howard, so that also is a problem.
That's weird. If you're Ron Howard, why don't you just cast your daughter?
I don't know.
Did you see that weird thing he tweeted out the other day too? He pushed out he retweeted or put on his Instagram about an article about Bryce Dallas Howard and how she was flaunting her curves.
Oh, Ron Howard did that?
Yeah, it's
That's
very
creepy.
weird.
That is weird. Why is everybody so weird? Social media is just bringing everything down. This is the kind of stuff that would have gotten swept up under the rug back in prime Hollywood. None of this stuff would have ever come to light till way after they're dead.
I don't understand people.
All right, so then her next film was called The Woman in the Window. It sounds like it's a Rear Window ripoff. So maybe it's great. I mean, it sounds like it has the potential to be great. It's got Gary Oldman in it, Anthony Mackie. Other than the fact that it's a riff on something that's been done to death on, one of the most classic films of all time, that has that going against it. So I'm going to say 40%. And I'm really just basing that not on her ability, more on just what she's got coming up in the next 3 years.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you. The over that's on its way doesn't exactly, doesn't scream to me, was it biopic of somebody with a disability or some kind of Holocaust film. So since none of those are there, which are basically guaranteed locks.
Don't forget Triumph of the Human Spirit. There's also that. You gotta,
Fair enough. So, unfortunately, yeah, and I don't know if she's gonna show up in any more DC movies as Lois Lane either.
Yeah.
So that option's out the window. Yeah, I'm 40%. I think. Yeah, I'm right around that. I'll just say I'll be generous and say 45 because I am a big Amy Adams fan. I just don't know if this work for the next couple of years. It's been announced. Is gonna pull that off.
Mm-hmm.
Any more, Matt?
No, I came up with the standard 3.
All right, I got one more to leave you with, but I want no spoilers.
Okay.
And I'm saying this just to drive you crazy.
Okay.
What are the odds that I will like the Game of Thrones finale? Now, I have no idea what happened. I just know that in the Twitterverse, people were furious.
Have you watched season 7 yet?
I have not.
Okay. So the last you left off was season 6?
I think so. I can't even tell you what happened.
You know what, Chris? I think you're a smart man. You as much as I like to make fun of you, you are, have good taste and you're a man of culture and you know good things when you see it. So I'm gonna say 10%. And if you actually do end up liking that, we're really gonna have to question our show and this friendship here.
Fair enough. Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
So that's going to be what are the odds for this week. Shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. Do you have any segment ideas? Let us know. Any suggestions? What odds would you apply to those scenarios? As always, I'd love to hear from you. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Where else? The YouTubes. Though maybe not this week because this episode had lots of technical difficulties. And just do a search for The First Run. Scroll, scroll, scroll. You will eventually find us. Go over to Apple Podcasts and give us a review. That'll help other people find the show. Matt, next week, it's going to be a double header. We're going to discuss not only Booksmart, which is the directorial debut for Olivia Wilde, but a little film called Brightburn, which is basically what if Superman as a boy went bad.
I'm very excited.
So we heard some good things about that one, or both of those films. So we'll be discussing both of those. So that's going to be the big show for this week. And we're going to go ahead and take an extended break, and we will see you all soon.
Baby, what's blue velvet? No.